invitation, along with my dear friend, Mayor Lott. Let's give Mayor Lott a round of applause. Who is the leader of the Arkansas Black Mayors Association. Also, my dear friend, Josh Price, who has been a great friend, a great colleague in the city of Little Rock, and we truly miss you and your work that you've been doing at the Placer County Election Commission. Let's give him a round of applause. You all, please bear with me. I got some unfortunate news about a family member literally as I was coming up these steps. So I'm going to ask for your prayers. But there's always time to do the work. Any second, any minute, any hour, any day. There's always time to do the work. Today, in honor of Dr. King, while I am a Baptist preacher, I'm not going to preach to you today. But I will give you a word. And that word comes from 1 Timothy, around the 4th chapter, verses 12 through 16. I won't read for you today. But when I think about Timothy in this time, this young mentee of then the Apostle Paul, who was raised and mentored by the great apostle, the great evangelist. If we truly understand what evangelist means, it means to be a disruptor. It means to truly change the map, change the game for the betterment of all people. And if you know the stories about the Apostle Paul, he truly was a disruptor. And we think about today, Dr. King. He too was a disruptor. As we think about Timothy, Timothy was mentored by the great disruptor. Timothy was mentored so much so that when he became the right age of the early years of his life to truly become a man, he too had to do some work. But it's always about the time. Yeah. And as we're thinking through and recognizing Dr. King's birth, which was yesterday, 93 years ago, recognizing that some 54 years ago, he was assassinated in the city of Memphis at the Lorraine Motel. And I want to be honest with us today as we talk about time every second, every hour, every minute, every day, is that while we celebrate Dr. King today, at the day that he was assassinated on April the 4th, 1968, he was not a celebrated man. He was sought after in very negative means. He was not popular, even among his own supporters. See, this is the same Dr. King that people got tired of all the protests. People got tired of all the marches. People got tired of all the speeches. People got tired of all the strategy sessions because he had been doing it since the early 50s. And as we even think about Arkansas history in 1957 and 1958, at the graduation of Little Rock Central High, when Ernest Green, one of my mentors, was graduating, who was at the back of the room on Quigley Field? It was Dr. King, where he preached in his only time in the state of Arkansas at First Baptist on Gaines Street. He had been laboring from the 50s to almost the 70s. A labor of love, a labor of sacrifice, a labor for what, as he's always said, it is always right to do what is right. Yes, sir. What does that mean? We understand the maturation process of harvesting. It is always right to do what is right. So as we stand here today on January the 17th, 2022, it is right to do what is right. And what is right? What is right is understanding that we have to continue to increase the educational achievement of our young people. We have to understand that we're living in a world right now that no child is choosing his or her parents, but we have to understand that we understand it's right to focus on early childhood education because there is a young brother or sister that has a young mother or father that is single family, but they have to go to work and their child is not necessarily getting the right educational process. And we don't need our children just sitting at home being idle. We need to ensure that our children are receiving early childhood education, understanding that they matriculate through the process of education to ensure that they do not see a life of what we all have been a blessing away from, being dead or in jail or on our way to either one. It's always right to do what is right. It's time that we stand up. It's time that we do what is right for our individual cities and our state, and understanding that the most important thing right now is that understand our youth are our greatest asset. And when we understand that our youth are our greatest asset and we focus on education, we also understand that as we transition from education, we have to transition to economic empowerment. Understand there is economic violence around our respective cities. What is economic violence? The lack of a living wage. Economic violence is the lack of access to capital. Economic violence is the lack of having understanding that we have food deserts in our communities, and we have to figure out a way to ensure that we move from a food desert to food abundance. It's always right to do what is right. But moving from economic violence and economic empowerment and understanding we have to have education, we have to understand that we have to focus and enable ourselves to do good. Yes, sir. See, Dr. King also said that an injustice somewhere is a threat to justice everywhere. See, we have educational injustice, we have economic injustice, we also have accountability injustice, and we have to focus on how do we bring justice to every realm of our cities and our communities, that we're all working together, working to ensure that we unite, we grow, and we transform each other, and we're understanding that in the midst of being unity and change are very simple, but yet complex. It is easy to say, hard to do. It's hard to unify, because many times when you're unifying, we have to decide that something is being taken away or shifted away for the betterment of moving forward together. But we all get a little selfish, don't we? We like our own individual communities. We like our own boxes. We like this, we like that, and we don't necessarily always want to share. But if we truly want to have, as Dr. King called, the beloved community, we got to focus on uniting. We have to focus on change to ensure that we grow and we transform, that we truly can be the beloved community. Yeah. Yes, sir. So it is time that we stand up. Yeah. This very second, this very hour, this very minute, this very day, and we all have something to do. And so in my few short moments today, on this King Day, it's more than a day. Yes, sir. Because we all out here quoting his quotes. Yeah. Oh, let me find me a Dr. King quote. All right. But we're not going to find a Dr. King spirit tomorrow. All right. When we have young brothers and sisters who are in need of food. We have young brothers and sisters who are in need of a job. We have young brothers and sisters who are trying to get out of jail and re-enter society the right way. Yeah. Because this work is hard. But the question is, are you ready for the battle? Yeah. So don't quote Dr. King if you're not ready for the battle to do the work. Otherwise, you're just perpetuating the problem. Right. See, Dr. King didn't need fans, he needed followers. Because I can promise you, while he was able to do many things from those many speeches, those many protests, those many strategy sessions, yes, he was able to have the Civil Rights Act of 1965. He was able to have the Voters' Rights Act of 1965, and we need to renew it right now, today, and I hope the Senate does it quick, fast, and in a hurry. Yeah. But not only was he able to do that, 1 week after his death was the passing of the Fair Housing Act of 1968. He was about the work. And what that work entailed, that he was able to move John F. Kennedy, God rest his soul, before he was assassinated, to move to ensure that LBJ got the work done. Everyone did not want to get the work done. Read our history books and don't allow them to be rewritten. He was able to get the work done, and it was not easy. It wasn't a microwave effect. It took years upon years. And so much so that people got tired of him talking about racial equality. He got tired of him talking about segregation and discrimination and every other ism it can be, because when you heard an ism, he was right there. They got tired about it. But even in his own labor, he understood that he had to change to focus on economic empowerment. That was the whole reason and rationale for the Poor People's Campaign in Memphis, where he was ensuring that there was going to be a living wage for the sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee. That was our Dr. King, who was understood it's always right to do what is right. And so I ask us that we look into ourselves today to figure out what is right in Hot Springs, what is right in Camden, what is right in Little Rock, North Little Rock, Conway, Cabot, any city in our state, to do what is right. And it's time to stand up. Thank you.